Hello and welcome back to the Bliss Bean. Today's video is going to be on a productivity technique that is called habit stacking. And because I want this to be a very informational, very educational video, we're going to start by defining what habit stacking actually is. It is implementing new habits by building them on top of existing ones. I think all of us have so many different habits that we want to incorporate into our lives in terms of health, self-care, productivity, habits that help you stay organized, just all manner of little things that you would like to do in your life, but it just doesn't really work out. Habit stacking is a technique that will hopefully help you finally break through that block and be able to do the things that you want to do in order to have a happy and productive life. So normally when we try to learn new habits, it's very easy to forget to do them. You might write them down and get super motivated about them, but then it just kind of completely disappears out of your consciousness and you forget about it. And that's completely understandable because there's just nothing prompting you to do it. It's very hard to remember to do something new every single day. You might set a reminder on your phone and that might help you, but it also might remind you at completely the wrong time. All of a sudden it's like, how do I fit this new thing that I want to do into my schedule that I've already established and have been doing for months? So habit stacking fixes all of this. I feel like I sound like an infomercial. Habit stacking is basically a little memory trick that helps you to not forget to do those habits, and I think the best way to explain exactly how it works is through an example. So say you want to start a habit of doing some exercises in the morning, nothing really crazy, we're not doing CrossFit here, just maybe a couple of squats. So with habit stacking, the first thing that you do is you sit down and you think of an existing habit that you have. What is it that you do every single morning that you hardly have to think about? You don't have to will yourself to do it, it just happens. And for me, that's brushing my teeth, and probably for you too. So the goal that you might set is every single morning as I brush my teeth, I will do 50 squats. You've now linked your new morning exercise to this habit of brushing your teeth. You've linked this established solid habit to this new one that's still kind of iffy and that you're trying to get the hang of. Once you practice this routine and this connection a couple of times, every time you start to brush your teeth, your brain will immediately go to the next action that it has learned to associate with brushing your teeth, which is doing squats. And so it'll remind you almost effortlessly to practice this habit every single morning. So now that we've looked at an example, I just want to cover the basic process of how exactly you can incorporate habit stacking for basically anything that you want to do. Step 1 is to find a new habit that you want to start doing. I think this step is the easy part because I think we all have this idealistic list in our heads of what we would like to do every single day or every single week. These can be things like studying a language, reading, exercising, journaling, meditating, cleaning, listening to podcasts, clearing your desk in the morning, checking your schedule, basically anything. Step 2. Find a habit in your life that's already like second nature to you that you could use as an anchor for this new habit. Ask yourself, what is it that you don't need prompting to do? What are the things that you basically do on autopilot already? And step 3, just stick them together. So these two habits don't need to be simultaneous like they were in the teeth brushing and squats example. They can also be sequential, and honestly they'll probably usually be sequential. For example, your habit stack might be, after I climb into bed, I will read for 15 minutes. Climbing into bed is something you do every single day without fail, and you don't need prompting to do it. And so with enough repetitions of that routine where you're connecting going to bed with reading, as soon as you get into bed, your brain will just immediately tell you to pick up a book and start reading. And that's it. It's really a simple process, but I think it can be really powerful if you actually put your full effort into it and fully take advantage of it. This sounds like the end of the video, but it is not. I'm going to give some tips on how to best implement habit stacking. So my first step is, if you're just getting into habit stacking, you might want to start out by sitting down and just writing out a list of those established, autopilot, well-learned, whatever you want to call them, those habits that can serve as anchors for your new habit. I think coming up with those is the hard part of the process, so if you just do that in one go, you'll have a breeze connecting the rest of your habits. Tip number 2, you thought habit stacking was just for linking two habits? No. You can double stack, triple stack, etc., etc. You can keep linking habits together in order to build entire chains of habits. This is basically how you build routines. So for example, with your morning routine, you might say, after I wake up, I will make my bed. Once you've practiced that a couple of times and formed that connection, then you can move on and start with making your bed as the anchor habit. So you might say, after I make my bed, I will stretch for 5 minutes. And now you've incorporated 2 habits. And so then you say, after I stretch, I will wash my face. After I wash my face, I will journal, and just keep going like that. It's basically like you're leaving a little trail of mental breadcrumbs for yourself. So instead of having to remember a whole set of little habits that you want to do in the morning, you just have to remember the connections between them. And the more you practice, the more natural those will feel, and you'll be able to progress throughout the entire routine without barely even thinking about it. But keep in mind, tip number 3, yes, these habit stacks will become like second nature to you eventually, but this process does take time. So in the meantime, I highly recommend that you write down these habit stacks or habit chains or whatever you want to form, just so that you can easily access this information and remember what habits you committed to doing. So if it's a habit stack you do at home, like your morning routine, you might want to write it on a post-it and stick it in a few of the places where you complete your morning routine. If it's something that you do on the go, you can put it on your phone, set it as your wallpaper, or put it in your notes app. Just anything that will remind you, because it will be a little tricky at first. Hang in there. And then my last tip is know your why. In the same place that you're writing down these habits and routines, also write down why you want to do them. Why do you want to do squats while you're brushing your teeth? Because you want to feel energized in the morning. Why do you want to journal after you wash your face? Because you want to clear your mind before you go to school or work. So hopefully with all of these habits that you're trying to incorporate, there's a reason why you're doing it. Hopefully you're not doing it just because other people are doing it or it's the cool thing to do. I don't know. You're gonna have a reason for every habit that you want to incorporate, and so if you focus on that reason, it'll give you the motivation that you need to keep doing it. Because as I mentioned, those first few times that you do it are gonna be difficult. It's gonna be hard to motivate yourself and find the willpower to do things that you're totally not used to. But in those times, you just have to remember all of the benefits that you're gonna reap from making this a habit. So that's all the advice that I have on habit stacking. That's all the knowledge that I have for you. Habit stacking is a technique that just has so much potential, and it's up to you to get creative with it and find all of the different ways that you can apply it to your life. I'd love to hear what habits you decide to stack, so please let me know. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you next week. Bye!